ever get that feeling? Like you're
Yeah.
talking and talking, but the other person, they're not really there.
Oh, yeah.
Nodding along, maybe even saying, uh-huh, but their eyes are kind of glazed over,
Mm-hmm.
and you can practically see your words just bouncing right off of them.
I've been on both sides of that one.
Uh-huh. Right. Well, today we're going deep on something that just might be a lost art. We're diving into listening.
The lost art of listening.
Yep. And to guide us, we've got Kate Murphy's book, You're Not Listening. It's more relevant now than ever.
Absolutely. Especially in this world where everyone's constantly talking or posting or,
Yeah.
just making noise.
Right. Like we're all wired to broadcast. But the receiving end, not so much.
It's funny because we're more connected than ever before. But are we really connecting? Not in the way that matters.
Not in the way that matters. It's a good point. I mean, Murphy talks about this digital overload. Like our brains are just fried from all the input, and it's killing real conversation.
It's true, though I think it goes deeper than just being distracted by our phones.
Deeper. How so?
Well, think about it. How often are we truly present in a conversation? Not just physically, but mentally. Murphy talks about this thing called conversational narcissism.
Conversational narcissism.
Yeah, it's this tendency to steer the conversation back to ourselves. Like we're just waiting for our turn on stage.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is so me sometimes. It's like someone's telling me about their crazy day at work, and I'm already thinking, oh, wait till you hear what happened to me, and I just jump right in. But then I've totally hijacked their story.
Exactly. It's not always intentional, though, right?
No, it's more like a reflex, I think.
The reflex. Yeah, I think so. And then there's the whole fear of silence thing.
Fear of silence.
Murphy talks about this. Like,
Yeah.
we're so uncomfortable with those little pauses in conversation that we rush to fill them up,
With advice.
with advice, with opinion, with anything. But just sitting with the silence and actually listening.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It makes you think, what are we so afraid of in that silence?
Exactly. What might we discover if we actually embraced it a little more?
Okay, so we've established that we're not great at listening. But why is that such a big deal? What's the harm in being a bad listener?
Think about a time when you felt truly heard, really listened to.
I try to think about that with my kids, really wanting them to know I'm there.
It's powerful, right? That feeling of being understood, that's what we miss out on when we don't really listen.
So it's more than just the words.
It's about connection, empathy. You're creating a space for genuine understanding.
So how do we get better at this? How do we go from being
Well,
bad listeners
yeah.
to actually good ones?
Murphy gives some really practical steps in her book. She talks about the importance of being present. Fully present. Both physically and mentally. Put the phone away, close the laptop, resist the urge to multitask.
That's tough. Especially for someone like me who's always got a million tabs open.
It is. It takes practice, but it's so worth it.
What else? What else can we do?
Another key thing is to listen to understand, not to reply. So often we're already formulating our response in our heads,
Oh, yeah. All the time.
and we end up missing crucial parts of what the other person's saying.
So it's like hitting the pause button on your own thoughts.
Exactly. And instead of jumping in with solutions, maybe just ask a question.
A question. So instead of saying, you must be so stressed about this,
Right. You could say, what's making you feel stressed about this?
it opens up the conversation.
Exactly. You're inviting the person to share more, to really explain their perspective.
Makes you realize listening isn't passive. It's active.
Very active. It's engaging. It's a skill.
It's a skill for sure. So let's talk about the benefits. What kind of impact can this have on our lives if we really make an effort to listen better?
Well, for starters, your relationships will probably improve. Think about it. When people feel heard and understood, they feel valued, respected.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you're actually seeing them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that builds trust, strengthens the bond, whether it's with your partner, your friends, your family.
Or your coworkers.
Exactly. It can transform your workplace too.
Now that you mention it, I've noticed that the best leaders I've worked with, they were all really good listeners.
Because it fosters that sense of collaboration. Innovation. When people feel heard, they're more likely to contribute their ideas, to feel invested in the work.
It's not just about making others feel good either. It's about personal growth.
Absolutely. Listening helps you learn to understand different perspectives, to become more empathetic and compassionate.
Wow. So much more than just hearing words.
So much much more. And in a world that's so noisy, so full of people shouting their opinions, the ability to really listen, it's almost like a superpower.
It's a superpower for sure. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of listening, I have a challenge for everyone listening. What's one small change you can make today?
To be a little more present, a little more attentive.
Maybe it's putting your phone away during dinner.
Or resisting that urge to interrupt.
Whatever it is, try it. See what happens.
Yeah.
You might be surprised at the impact it has.
On your relationships, on your own well-being.
On everything.
Until next time, happy listening. Happy listening, everyone.